Welcome to the castle, everybody. This is Nightsaber Z42, and today we're actually going to be taking a look at the Alien role-playing game starter set, which I've already done a review of, but this is going to be done through Roll20, and I had my first session with this just yesterday, and so my hope is to give some tips and tricks on how to successfully run this in case you decide to pick this up. When you actually get this and you set it up as a module, you open up your game and whatnot, you're gonna open up on this screen, and the first thing you're gonna want to do, all right, because you have access to 5 different pages, I guess, is to go into settings and turn off dynamic lighting. Each of these pages, for whatever reason, has dynamic lighting on it, even though it doesn't really use dynamic lighting. The only one that I would consider to use dynamic lighting with is probably the USCSS Cronus map, because that's where the bulk of the game takes place. That's where your players are going to be exploring, and that's where the game is going to happen. So you might want to leave it on for that, although honestly, I ran through it with the dynamic lighting on for my players, and I ultimately made the decision that I'm not going to use it. Mainly for one simple fact: in the actual campaign or the story, the characters are given a map of the USCSS Cronus, so it doesn't make sense to actively hide certain information from the characters. So I have taken it off. So this is the start screen. It will have dynamic lighting on it, just so that you're aware. And the first thing that you're probably going to notice is that you have a series of 4 cards stacks. You have one for initiative, one for personal agenda, scenario NPC cards, and then the item cards. And all of these are included in the box set. So actually everything in the box set is included in one form or another. So let's talk about these cards for a moment, because if you deal the cards to your players, so like I open it up and I want to deal 1 card, and then I can choose my player's name, but if I deal it, I'm going to get a random card no matter what. And this also includes your personal agendas. And that should not be randomized. That your personal agenda is very specific to the character that you are portraying. So that should not be randomized. But there's a way that we're going to change that. So you have initiative, you have your personal agenda, your NPC cards, and then your item cards. So all of that, most of this stuff, with the exception of initiative, should not really be randomized. So let's go ahead and change that. First off, we're going to go to the collection, and that's where our macros are. And we have a list of 5 different decks: one for initiative, the personal agenda, scenario, NPC cards, item cards, and then just playing cards, which is standard for like all Roll20 games or something like that. Okay, so let's take a look at the initiative. So show deck to players, yes. Show card tooltips, yes. Players can draw cards, sure, if you really want to. Cards in deck are infinite. Draw through deck, shuffle them, repeat. But the most important thing that we're going to take a look at is allow choosing specific cards from deck. Now for initiative, you want that disabled, because as a GM, you're probably not going to cheat your initiative. That should be randomized. So when you actually take a look at the personal agenda that I have, GM choose show front. Okay. And discard pile and removed cards pile, which we're going to leave alone. When played to the tabletop, we'll have that face up, and that is pretty much it. Here you have a list of all of the cards here and the card backing. So let's say that I've gone ahead and initiated the GM choose show front. So what does that actually look like? Well, when you actually hover over that deck, you now have deal, choose, removed, recall, shuffle, and hide. So when I click on choose, I have a list of all of the cards here. Now, my only gripe with this is that it is really small. Like, you have to actually click on it to see what it is. So there's Wilson's Act 2 agenda, and it has all of your personal agendas, even the infected and the secret characters. It's all in here, so you can take a look at that. And then what you'll do after that is you're gonna drag to whoever it is, that specific player. So for example, since I'm the only one here, I dragged whatever that card was, and it's now listed as a number 1. So whenever I click on that 1, I can see all the cards in my hand. And if I were to click it again, I would get a bigger picture of what it is. And so there we go. I would do that for your personal agendas, your scenario, NPC cards, item cards. I would keep that all GM chooses. Don't put GM chooses for your initiative because that is supposed to be random. But that is pretty much all there is for the cards and the macros and how that all works. So on the side here, under your journal, you have everything that comes with the starter set. From the actual rules to the adventure itself. So you have like the rule parts, like Space is Hell, that's your introduction chapter, the character, skills, it's all here. It's got the full text and everything, the description, and how to do things. It's really nice if that's all you have access to, but since I actually have the physical copy, I have it open up to the book right in front of me. And that actually comes to a realization of something that I had when I was playing. And I noticed that I was really, really tired. And one of the things that I really don't like in my role-playing games is always having to refer back to, flipping pages to find things. And, when you have so many steps of looking for information, like I'm looking at the screen, or I'm looking at my book, and I'm flipping through the book to look for something, things get lost in translation. And things really got lost in translation when I played this or ran it for my group yesterday. So one of the things that I decided to do, and I've only done this for one of the maps because there's really only one map to do it for, is taking the descriptions from the actual scenario, which is written here. So you've got your different events for Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And then you've got the maps, like here's Cryo Deck A, and it's got the full description of all the rooms, just like it is in the book. So I took those descriptions and I looked through visual and sensory descriptors that I can put into the game. So for example, Wilson's is talking with Mother 2000 right now. And so the description of that room is that only Wilson and somebody else can enter that room, but otherwise the room is very clean. And then you have like the offline, the scrubbers, the air scrubbers. So it's caked with mold and grime and moats and stuff like that. And there's a risk of electrocution. And so I went through all of the room descriptions and I picked out sensory descriptors. So when I'm running this for my players and they enter a room for the first time, I can say, all right, this examination room is a complete mess. Things are just littered all over the floor in this dark room. But you do find 2 personal medkits as you stumble around kicking over things. So congratulations, you have 2 medkits. And so I did that for each of the rooms. And what's unique about this map is that there are ladders to get through different floors. So those are the junctions right here. And so I also listed that, hey, A2 goes to B2, which is over here. Yeah, here's B2, which I forgot to put that this goes to A2. But I did that for each of the rooms. You can see it gets really crowded out here. But if you decide to do this, I should point out, don't put this on the objects and tokens page. You're going to want to put it on the GM info overlay. The GM info overlay is specifically just for the GM to see what's there. The players aren't going to see these descriptions. Only the GM is going to see it. If you put it on objects and tokens or even the map and background, your players are going to see that. So other than that, along on the side, you do have your player characters. You have 5 characters that your players can run: Lyron Cam, Leah Davis, Vanessa Miller, Kayla Rye, and John J. Wilson. Of course, they always say that, you know, your player characters are probably going to die, so there's more characters that they can take control of in the form of NPCs. So Johns, which is the officer, Reed, Flynn, Cooper, Clayton, Ava Six, Balaji, Pin, Bane, Horton, if they should ever show up. Uh, if you have a player who's just kind of sitting around fiddling with their thumbs, you can just give them one of those NPCs to take control of. And then so you have the actual character sheet for the NPCs, and I guess this is what you would give your players if they should take control, because the character sheet is, well, there's an actual spot for the character sheet, but then you also have like just the basic handout for said characters, which I kind of find a little bit awkward, but I think what their intention was that you have these cards, your NPC cards, and this is pretty much what's on that card, if I'm not mistaken. So you're going to have a picture on one side and then the description of that character as an NPC on the other side. So I think that's what their intentions were for this. So I'm probably not going to use that. I would just use the actual character sheet. And then you have information on the Cronus, your events. So for Act 1, you have all of your events as they are listed in the book. You can read through those, pick the ones you want, and there's events for Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And then you have your epilogue. Then you have your appendices, which are in the actual book as well, the adventure book. So you have your xenomorphs and specifically, you know, information about that. Although the ones that you're probably going to use in this adventure is the neophyte, and it has all of their attacks and everything, health, speed, all of that, which is really cool. Your abomination, because there are several abominations on this map. And then you have a list of the talents that are on the characters, and then their specific agenda. So if you don't want to use the cards here, you can actually just go ahead and show that specific player this specific agenda, which I kind of prefer a little bit of, but I went ahead and did it with the cards just to kind of see what it was like. But I think in the future, I would definitely just give that specific player the handout that matches. And you got your deck plans for Montero and Cronus, and additional characters, which I think are from, I want to say they're from the, oh yeah, they are. Okay, so when this project was originally launched, we accidentally included the pre-generated characters from Destroyer of Worlds. So there you go. You got the Destroyer of World characters here. I thought some of them looked familiar, but I didn't recognize the name for the Private First Class. But there you go. So let's take a look at the character sheet super duper quick, and we'll call it a video. So I'm going to take Vanessa here, captain of the USCSS Montero. And you got a basic description. By the way, there are no tokens for the characters, but I mean, if you just drag and drop, it works fine. It's a square, so if you're using grids, it works out perfectly. So once you click on the character, you can go ahead and click on the character sheet. And I actually really do like, I've stated this when I did my review, and I was making my characters for Alien, but I really do like this character sheet. So just about everything here is going to be clickable. So when you have your stress, you know, as you're clicking through your stress, you're going to want to click 1, 2, and 3. So if Vanessa has 3 stress, click 1 and 2 and 3. Because the way it works is if you just have one box filled, no matter where it's at, it's only going to roll 1 stress die. But if you have all 8 of them filled in, then you're going to be rolling 8 stress die, which, my gosh, if you have 8 stress die, it's time to take a breather. Health is located here, and it does keep track of your health, which is based off of your strength, which is really cool. So even if I misclick on 1, it's still going to have the 4 out of 4. So that's really cool. Radiation, in case you go into a radiated area. There's conditions for starving, dehydrated, exhausted, and freezing, just like the regular character sheet. And I really do like the Consumables tab here. So like air is one of the things that we have to worry about with our evac suits. So a standard compression suit has air supply of 5. And so whenever you click on air, it goes ahead, it will roll all 5 of the stress die for you. And it won't automatically take away because that would be magic, but you'll have to do that yourself. And then, of course, you have your roll buttons down in the center. So you can roll a D3, a D6, 2D6, 3D6, or a D66. You can draw an initiative card, or you can input. So when you are handed an actual random card, you're going to have to input it here, which I think goes into the turn tracker. Or you could choose to roll 2D6 as your initiative with dice. And then you can just roll base dice or stress dice. It'll ask you how many dice or how many stress dice you're rolling. Just in case you just need if you're asked to roll something. But let's say that you need to make a skill check. All you have to do is click on the button and it will automatically do that. It'll ask how many modifiers and then you just submit. And the only thing that I really find problematic is that it doesn't tell you if you're successful or not, or how many successes. You actually have to look at the picture. The only exception to that is when you actually click on stress. So if I click observation again with a 0 modifier, it's going to roll my 4 base dice plus my 2 stress dice, and then it'll actually tell me success 1, panic 0. So we did not panic this time. So a little confusing in a way, but oh well. You have buttons for armor. So if you have some armor upon you and you take a hit, you're going to roll for armor. Nothing for encumbrance. Weapons. I actually kind of really like this. So you have different tabs for your weapons, and you can have up to 6 weapons here. So you will give your weapon a name, its bonus, its damage, its range and whatnot, whether it's close combat or ranged combat. And then you would click on attack. So one of my characters does have a weapon. And I think it's John J. Wilson. Yeah, he's got the service pistol. So we'll click on attack and he rolls. Wow, really? He's rolling 5 dice plus 2 for the bonus. Gotcha. I always forget there's a bonus to that. So yeah, he's rolling 7 dice and he got 2 successes. So that's how that works. So I really do like that. And of course, you can have up to 6. And then you have your gear stored over here. So if you got a cutting torch, you would list that there. You have your signature item. Any tiny items that you have. Story points. Remember, you can only have up to 3 story points, which you can use to gain an automatic success on a roll. And make a secret roll. That's cool. To the GM. Ooh, nice. I like that button. That could be very helpful in certain situations. And of course, experience points if you are playing a campaign game. And then you have your talents, and just like with weapons, you have some tabs. You have 8 tabs for talents, so as you level up and stuff like that, you can spend points to get talents. Vanessa has pull rank, which you can see the description of here. There's a ship tab, and then there's a hostile tab. So you can make your, which I'm going to have to do for the neomorphs because they did not bother making a neomorph enemy. The only neomorph that they have are handouts. There are no character neomorphs, which is really sad and unfortunate, but I can definitely go ahead and make that. And then you would just plug that into the hostile tab. And then whenever you open that hostile enemy up, it'll open up here, and then you can just do the whole clicking thing as standard. Yeah, it's even got room for their signature attacks, which has always got 6 different ones. So yeah, that's the only thing that I kind of find a little bit problematic that you're going to have to do that should have been included here, are that the enemies should have been included on character sheets as a character sheet. But oh well. So hopefully this helps you guys out in running this game on Roll20. I was actually really excited to run this for my players, and they seemed pretty excited too. But you know, I'm really big into organization, and you just got to keep stepping up your game. The only thing that I would also add, in addition to like the description, is that I've started doing stuff on Syrinscape and on Roll20. So I would actually probably make another text box. So let's say that maybe they enter the mother room. I would pull out some sort of a sound on Syrinscape, and I would list that here on the side, maybe in different color, so that way I know that as soon as Wilson enters, all I got to do is open up Serenscape and play that specific sound, and now we're immersed in more atmosphere, in the sound atmosphere. So that's kind of how my brain works, and how I kind of really want to further my organization game. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up to support the series, and subscribe if you would like to see more. And I will see you guys in the next video.